Hello. Um, so today I'm going to be talking about discipleship. And before I do that, I think I'll catch up a little bit on myself. Aside from being very cold, um, I think it's aligning very well again that I'm talking about discipleship because I haven't been the greatest disciple lately. Um, Even just this past weekend, I went to a birthday party and I drank, so definitely backslid um, a lot. So I think it's a good lesson to talk about today. I don't have my tripod, so I will not be able to do my lessons in the car anymore. But I think it's kind of cool because the view is kind of nice, and aside from it being cold, that's literally it. It's pretty nice aside from that. And I think I kind of had another, how do you say it? Was it New Year's resolution that I wanted to do, and that's to be more outgoing with my walk with God. So even though that there's people around, I want to just have it be known that I am having a walk with God, if that makes sense. So aside from that, yeah, the test of discipleship is the name of the lesson today. And God, sorry. I think a big thing that people think about when you are walking with God, or you're starting to go to church and stuff, is people assume that you're just perfect, and that you'll never sin again. And ideally that's what you want to have happen, but it doesn't always work like that, and in my case, for instance, this past weekend, I didn't initially go into it being yeah, I'm gonna be drinking, but things happen, and it is by no means to make an excuse, I'm not oh, I can just sin all I want and then ask God for forgiveness. That's not how it is. The idea is that you have to understand the gravity of your sin, and that's what, in doing so, you're kind of just faced with a constant battle with yourself, if that makes sense. You're constantly just discerning what is of God and what isn't of God, and I feel like something that I was just thinking about the other day was I guess just my I guess not necessarily my current friends, but people that are just they don't see the good in God, God only exists when bad things happen, if, let's say, if they're personally going through something, they're just why God, why are you doing this to me? Or if something's happening to someone they know, for instance, then they're why is God allowing this, and it's just I don't really get that mentality, I mean, I guess I can to an extent, because I used to be like that, when I wasn't going to church just a few years ago. But I feel no one stops to realize that the good of God is everything that's happening in our lives, I guess the air, the sun, yes, I'm cold, but I'm grateful that I'm able to experience weather, bird, hearing the birds and stuff like that, this, none of this would be possible without God, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's such a cheap excuse, or argument, I guess, where it's just why, I don't know, that's just something I'm not I don't think that has anything to do with this lesson, but I think it's just like that just kind of made me curious, you know. Uh so yeah. Um Sorry, sometimes like the code kind of like throws me off, like what it is I'm talking about. Basically, the idea is to have like a complete transformation, like in terms of discipleship, you know. And I think a big thing that is talked about, at least like from what I can recollect within my own ministry, is that like, you know, it's like you have to like have a change of heart, you know. Like it's one thing to just outwardly like display God, you know, but it's different to like really have that in your heart, you know. Like you can like go to church and pay your tithes and then, you know, like listen to all this music and stuff, and but it doesn't mean anything if you're just like, you know, if you're just reserving that for like Sundays or like whenever you have your youth ministries and stuff like that, you know. You need to genuinely have a change of heart. And I think that's something that I would say that was my biggest, is probably currently my biggest obstacle, you know. Like even though I don't outwardly like curse or like get angry, like, you know, like it doesn't mean that it's still not there. Like in my heart, I a lot of the time just choose not to like express that, you know. But that doesn't mean that like, you know, I'm a good person, you know. And that bothers me, you know. Like I don't know, I'm just like constantly, and I'm sure a lot of people are going through the same thing, where I'm just constantly like going through this battle of myself, you know. Like where I'm like, yeah, you know, like I act correct, but I want to like be a good person, you know. I want to have like actual like patience and, you know, compassion. Like not that I'm not a compassionate person, like I do like to implement a lot of like, you know, the fruits of like the spirit, you know, which would be actually here in one of these verses. Oh, here. The fruits of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, you know. That's what I want, you know. Like, and I get it, like it's not gonna all happen overnight. I am someone that I like to believe that like, you know, the highs and lows are all part of the journey, you know. So we gotta take the good with the bad, you know. And it's like that with anything, you know, like with relationships or jobs or working out, you know. It's just all part of the process. So yeah, you know, I tried to like, you know, when I backslide, and, you know, like not just with drinking, but like in terms of like short temper, or like, you know, not like a lot of the times like I'm just like really quick to anger, and it'll take me a minute to like, how you say, check myself, you know, like realize it, you know, like realize that that's not good, you know, shouldn't be reacting that way. And but, you know, like my dream is that like I'll eventually get to a point where I don't even like get angry like right off the bat, you know. Not to say that like, you know, like I think the idea of this, you know, these videos is to like kind of just address the human aspect of us, you know, because we're not Jesus, you know, we're not perfect, you know. Like I will, you know, for sure have like my moments, like, and I guess it's a little like, how you say, I don't want to say unrealistic to say that like it's not possible, because like there's a lot of things with God that I just can't comprehend, that, you know, like he has all the power, like he has the power to like do or fix anything or anyone, you know. So I don't want to say that it's impossible to acquire that, you know, but it I I don't know, it's just a matter of time and how much effort and work you put in, you know, into all of this. um I think I think that's another good key indicator. The fruits of like your spirit, because like it doesn't matter like how good you look in front of other people. If it's just like a facade, like it'll be very telling, like with the life you live. you know that's why I want to do this, why I want to make these videos, why I want to have these little Bible studies like before um our runs. Like, it's to build a fellowship, but it's very important that I don't get like prideful, because that's another thing. I'm very prideful, because a lot of the stuff that I had to do, like, you know it really just required just me. Like, a lot of the stuff that I attained was just through me. So I'm like trying to break that, break that mindset, where like I'm trying to give thanks to God and have gratitude to God and everyone that's helped me. you know but yeah, the fruits of our spirit, that's what I want. And you gotta really want it. You can't just like have it just be like a chore to check off on your daily, like day to day. Like, you really want it. It's like when I started really getting good at the gym, it's because I just made it like my whole identity. Like, um I just started like um switching up what I was seeing like on YouTube. I was like, especially like with Instagram, like everything you're being exposed to, like I just constantly expose myself to like things revolving around fitness and eating better and lifting heavy weight. Like, even though I wasn't necessarily like doing that myself, like it was still good exposure, and that's what I want to do. I guess like even more so this year. Like, not to say that I wasn't doing that like the past like 2 years, but even more so I want to like really emphasize like like radiating God, like off me. Like, I want, like, when people see me, like it's so stupid. Like, when I used to really when I was really locking in with the gym, I was actually getting pretty good. Like, not that I'm not good now, but like I wanted to like become someone where like when people saw me, I wanted them to go like, what is that? Like something like that, just something like corny, like something that didn't even make sense. Like, that's how like big and like yoked I wanted to be, like. And now that's what I want with God. Like, when people see me, I want them to like have no doubt in their mind that like I am having a solid walk with God, and I'm gonna really want to work on that this year. Just like constant exposure and like surrounding myself with like my friends from church, like things like that. I think like this last year, it's not that I wasn't doing that, but the test was very lonely, I would say. It was very difficult. Like, a lot of like friends of mine were like busy, so it wasn't like, I don't know, like I think like I for sure myself was like excluding myself a little bit, like distancing myself from like exposure to God, and I definitely lost my discipleship a good bit there. I was definitely prioritizing a lot of stuff, and I think it's a good indicator if to know where you are with God. For instance, like with me, when I was like prioritizing the gym again, I was doing great, but it felt so stale. Like my heart and my soul felt stale, because like I was just like, I knew what it was I wanted. I wanted to like be at church and like be with my friends and stuff, like, but it was just like so empty, but it was so weird, because like I like kind of took control of the driver's seat, and I thought like, okay, like if I attain these things, then I'll be happy. And I did, and I wasn't. And I felt like so like empty and like purposefulness. Okay, you know what? I'm not even gonna try to to correct that word. We're just gonna move forward. Um, which is a good way to handle your sin. You relapse, you just move forward. Anyways, yeah, discipleship. That's the key this year. You know, I think a big thing is like it just feels good to have like, how do I put this? Not underlings, but like, I guess disciples like under you. Like obviously like we're all God's disciples, like, but like to have like a little ministry like based out of you, out of your work, it has to feel good. And that's what I want this year. And I think wow, it's low-key just kind of clicking right now. The test of discipleship. That's kind of what I went through last year. And I ain't gonna say if I passed or not, because I was missing a lot of church. But I think it's a good indicator, and I'm very happy that I am kind of back into it. I don't know if it's stronger than ever, but I want to get back to like kind of being radical about my ministry, about God, and especially like helping others. Like I definitely lost that servitude type attitude that I always had, so looking forward to it. That's pretty much it, just a little yap session. I'm at least not cold anymore because the sun is out. And yeah, I think today, so this year my church gave me a 52 or 57 week Bible reading plan. So I've been doing that. I have a lot of like catching up because I was gone over the weekend. So I'm not gonna necessarily be doing my like run 12 miles, read 12 chapters. Man, last time, I don't know, I forgot what book of the Bible I was reading, but man, I was there for a minute. Last week. But it was good, it was good, like, I'm not trying to say that hold up. I'm not trying to make it sound like it's a burden, reading my Bible. I love it. Love reading the Bible. I actually do feel really good. So yeah, I'll just be I'm just gonna do my run today. I'm glad that this little lesson was not as bad as I thought it could have been. I was reading and I was like, dude, I'm blanking really hard. So I'm glad, I just, give a little prayer, and I was like, God, just please help me, like, give me some direction, like, and immediately, like it's very rare, not rare. I'm not trying to say that God, like, doesn't, like, step in my life, but, like, immediately I kind of just, like, knew what it was I wanted to talk about and address, so I'm glad that this went well. And I'm glad that, my tripod, I guess, got lost, Initially, I was mad. I was furious. I was like, I really like that tripod. Even though it was broken, like, I really did like it. But I did low-key really see the blessing. Right when I came up here, I just was like, yo, this could be like the meeting spot. Because I'm at a picnic table right now, and it's just me right now. But imagine, like, months from now, or a year from now, or whatever, however long, like, this is gonna be filled with, like, my friends, like, fellow men of God, and they can all be out here freezing with me. But I'm looking forward to it, anyways. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just gonna get into my run. I imagine I'll be here maybe like an hour and a half. I don't know. I'll see. I'm gonna aim for 12 miles, but we're gonna do what we can, okay? And I hope everyone has a great day, and I hope everyone's upholding their New Year's resolution still. And yeah, I'll be with you guys. Peace.